نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن سار على سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So today inshallah we'll continue the book Bulugu Maraam and discussing the chapter Kitab Al-Tahara Bab Al-Wudu, and we have started that discussion a while back and still discussing those hadith that Author Ibn Hajar have mentioned regarding Ahkam Al-Wudu. So we'll take up from where we left off last lesson we had. So the last that we discussed concerning matters regarding the amount of water, using water in a conservative way regarding al-wudu, and also regarding the person who have a beard and the lights concerning how the person is to approach washing his face if he has a facial hair, whether it is something which is a big beard as they say, or one which is khafif. So we'll read the next hadith that comes after, and then we take up the masahil that relates to this particular hadith. Which hadith is it?
39, Abdullah ibn Zayd.
We did that one. We did that one regarding that. Did we do it?
There's two hadiths. There's 138, which was
Abdullah ibn Zayd. The one after, the second one.
This one is the second one, and it says narrated Abdullah bin Zayd radiallahu anhu. He saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taking some water to wipe his ears, other than the water he had taken to wipe his head. Reported by Al-Bayhaqi, who said that its isnad, chain of narrators, is authentic. Tirmidhi also graded it sahih.
Tirmidhi?
Yeah.
The book, all your books are the same thing, says the same thing?
I don't remember doing that one.
We didn't do this one.
No, we didn't do that one. Yeah, read, read again what you just mentioned.
Yeah, narrated Abdullah bin Zayd radiallahu anhu. He saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taking some water to wipe his ears, other than the water he had taken to wipe his head. Reported by Al-Bayhaqi, who said that its isnad is authentic. At-Tirmidhi also graded it sahih.
Okay, that's the hadith. And the hadith that I have here.
Oh, it's got a little bit more. It has been reported by Muslim through the same chain as Al-Bayhaqi with the wording, he wiped his head with water other than the water remaining from the washing of the hands. And this narration of Muslim is Al-Mahfuz.
Mahfuz. Okay, طيب. Now that's the next hadith to be discussing this series of hadith regarding Ahkam al-Wudu. So I mentioned the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd. أنه رأى النبي عليه السلام يأخذ لأذنيه ما خلاف الماء الذي أخذ برأسه أخرجه البيهقي. But what you just already mentioned also at-Tirmidhi. In my book it doesn't mention anything about at-Tirmidhi. So that needs to be double checked regarding it being mentioned regarding at-Tirmidhi narrating the hadith, or it being mentioned about Tirmidhi there. Then he mentioned also وهو in the Muslim, also the hadith is in the Muslim. So there's a second narration of the same hadith that من هذا وجه باللفظ, that with another narration or another wording mentioned مسح برأسه بماء غير الفضل يديه وهو المحفوظ. So he mentioned a second narration to mention also regarding a Muslim that he wiped his head with extra water that was from his hands. So that hadith is mahfuz, and that's just a saying that the hadith is authentic. So regarding this particular masail, regarding to discuss concerning the permissibility of using new water regarding or using water jadid for his hair. So for wiping off the hair from what was used from the hands. So that's concerning that particular discussion. So there's some also, as for the first hadith of Abdullah bin Zayd, there's some discussion regarding the authenticity of that hadith, whether it is sahih or not. The general discussion that the hadith is not authentic, and the second one is the more authentic narration. Then they mentioned went in some discussion regarding that hadith. Also with this hadith, that also have a discussion regarding that the word that mentioned the first hadith of Abdullah bin Zayd mentioned that he saw the Prophet Islam that he took water for the ears, different from that of which he took for his head. They said I mentioned the hadith, most of the narration does not mention the word ears. So the word ears, even though it's mentioned here in this narration, most other narration that are similar to this hadith, it doesn't include the word ears. So you have, but overall there's some discussion regarding the authenticity of this hadith. So most of them hold the hadith to be da'if regarding this particular narration. So again, the hadith is discussed concerning one taking new water, or is the person use extra water from his hands after washing his hands to wipe his head, or did he use new water? And also second, regarding the water that is used to wipe the ears, is the same water that he used to wipe his head. Now, so those are discussion, those are the masalah to be discussed in this particular hadith. So from the hadith that is mentioned here, they mentioned that regarding concerning ma jadid lil-udhun, that what's the ruling regarding using new water that regarding to wipe the ears. New water to wipe the ears regarding from the head. Is the person to use new water, or is to use the same water from what remains from wiping his head, his hair, to wipe his ears? They mentioned here that Jumhur of the ulama, as mentioned by An-Nawawi rahimahullah in his book Sharh Mu'adzab, that majority of the ulama, they all of the view that the person is to use يأخذ ما جديد لمس الأذن. The person is to use new water to wipe his ears. So the person, after wiping the head, then he again use places on the pipe or the water, use new water to wipe over his hair, his ears. So separate water for the ears, that from that which is not separate water for the ears, not the same water for the head. Clear?
Yeah. So once you've done the arms, you can use that same.
So after the person wipe his hair, then he put back his water, for example, on the top shower, and then wipe his ears according to what is mentioned here. So that's one of the views. That's one view. So the person should use new water to wipe his ears, not the same water that he's used to wipe his head for his ears. That view is taken by Imam Malik, Imam Shafi, also a call of Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, amongst the ulama, and also a view that has been authenticated by Ibn Umar, also a narration of Ibn Umar, or that Ibn Umar he would do this, which is new water for wiping the ears. The second view, so that's the first view. What's the first view?
Use new.
So new water, now for the ears. The second view is the view that is taken by Abu Hanifa and also Al-Thawri, that they mention that the water that is used for the head is the same water to be used for the ears. The water for wiping of the hair, that same water is used for wiping the ears.
One question, is this a fresh water after the hands then?
Is a fresh water after the hands.
Yeah.
This is a fresh water. So we're discussing, we said two matters. The water that is, the general thing that they mention that, the water that is after the hands is washed, then the person will renew the water for his hairs, for his head.
Yep.
Now, so generally, even though the discussion about that matter is generally that the view is weak regarding the person using the same water that he used for his hands, that remained from his hand for his head. That view is very weak. Now, so the general thing that the person would renew the water, as most people mentioned before, that is a separate water to be used for the head. But the water for the head, now we're talking about the head or the ear, the hair, is that same water to be used for the ears or new water. So that two separate wiping for those two acts or for those two limbs. So from the second view of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and also Imam Al-Thawri rahimahullah, that both those two acts, the head, wiping the head or the hair, and also the ears, is the same water. So the person wipe his hair, then the same that remain he uses for his ears. And that's the view, and as mentioned concerning that is also from the hadith of Ibn Abbas. So from the hadith of Ibn Abbas, also people that mentioned, also it states that the same water for the hair, for the head, is to be used for the ears. And I use the hadith of Ibn Abbas that was mentioned previously. Of the ulama, like for example, Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, in his book Zad al-Ma'ad, he mentioned لم يثبت عنه عليه الصلاة والسلام أنه أخذ لهما, meaning that there's nothing that has been authenticated. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah mentioned, there's nothing that has been authenticated upon the Prophet Islam that he would use for his hair and for his ears new water, meaning that he used the same water. So he would not per se get new water or for his ears, but he would use the same water that he used for his head, for his ears. So there's nothing authentic about him using new water. So even though the hadith mentions something of that, indicate this, but the hadith is weak. So based upon this, that you find that Sheikh Albani of contemporary, also Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, and also Sheikh Muqbil, all of the view that the person used the same water for the hair, for the head, that is to be used for the ears, and not to use a separate new water. And that's based upon the hadith that is in Muslim.
Is that the next one that comes? He wiped his head with water other than the water remaining.
For the water remain,
Okay. So the second view is stronger.
The second view that is mentioned here regarding that, the same water for the head is to be used for the ears and not a separate set of water.
And this is the hadith from Ibn Abbas.
That hadith of Ibn Abbas we mentioned before. So you have a hadith of Ibn Abbas that author rahimahullah he mentions before that, give that meaning or give that hukum.
Is the hadith itself weak? Narrated Abdullah bin Zayd that hadith.
And the hadith is weak. And the hadith is weak. By way of said not true, the hadith is weak itself. But was also mentioned regarding that the hadith mentioned about the says the hadith is weak, and also you have some discussion regarding even some of the wordings in the hadith. So Ibn Shaykh Albani rahimahullah, he mentioned that hadith of Abdullah bin Zayd in his book Al-Silsila Al-Da'ifa. So he mentioned in his book, so Shaykh Albani rahimahullah, he has this collection of hadith. He has many books, but of those ones, more is Silsila Al-Sahiha, that according to his view, all the hadith he owes to be authentic. He placed them into one book that comes in many volumes. And then you have another one, its opposite, which is a hadith that he owes to be, or that he has graded as weak. Now, so this hadith is mentioned in that collection of hadith that is weak. So the general thing that the water that is to be used for the ears is the same water that is used for the head. As mentioned by Ibn Al-Mundhir rahimahullah, Ibn Al-Mundhir mentioned his book Al-Awsat, الذي أحب أن يأخذ, as the matter that he wants to know what is preferred, more beloved, that a person, based upon that, to use concerning al-mas, al-ras, ma jadid, that for wiping the head, that a person, for wiping the head first, he use new water, not the leftover from his hands. Not the leftover water from his hands, after washing his hand, is to be used for wiping the head, but what the person should, what is to be done is that new water should be used. New water should be used.
Whose view is that?
Ibn Mundhir, he mentioned Ibn Mundhir. And I mentioned that concerning the most of the hadith that is called Prophet Islam Wudu, that they will mention this. So most of the hadith that will mention regarding concerning this would be is normal practice.
To use new water for
the head. For the head. Not the leftover from washing the hands. So that's concerning that particular matter regarding the excess use of water. And also At-Tirmidhi rahimahullah, At-Tirmidhi in his book rahimahullah, he mentioned, after mentioning the hadith of Abdullah bin Zayd, he mentioned وَالْعَمَلْ عَلَى هَذَا عند أكثر أهل العلم رأى أن يأخذ لرأسه ما جديد. So even At-Tibr rahimahullah mentioned that what's been the practice of the ulama, majority of the ulama, is that one should use, they view that one should use new water for wiping the head and not the leftover water from the hands after washing the hands.
The water for the head and the ears comes together then, it's the same.
And the water for the head and the ears the same water.
So from a weekly deep, that's the strongest view of all of them.
Now that's considered, that's the part A, that's considered the hadith. Now so the hadith regarding considered udhunayn, within the mathematical udhunayn, that wording also is wrong in the hadith. You understand? So the hadith, most narration doesn't mention udhunayn. You understand? Only this narration, so even from that angle, the hadith is questionable. You understand?
In terms of the act of the water, that's... In terms of the act of the water using the fresh water, that's...
That's the part, most of the hadith, and I mentioned that majority of the salaf that they used to be on that view. Majority of the ulama used to be of that view.
But that part of the hadith is strong then, no? That part of the hadith is strong.
What part of the hadith is strong?
That you use the same water, and a fresh set of water after you've used...
That's not per se by this hadith. This hadith doesn't give that meaning.
It said in the Muslim, that hadith, it mentioned the Muslim, he wiped his head with water other than the water remaining from washing the hands.
Hey.
That one's the sahih.
Hey, that more sahih, that was more correct hadith. That's the more correct hadith.
Yeah.
I used to do the same for the arms, then just go like, wipe over my head, and then use the same with my...
I think I do the second one. And then...
Yeah, use the same
I
with
do
my
that one, or I do like that, same as you.
But yeah, so you have other hadith.
I can't remember until I do it.
So you have other hadith, but some of the hadith I mentioned is they're somewhat, they're questionable. But even if it's not, if it is done, the person done, his wudu is still valid. If it is done, his wudu is still valid. So that's concerning, that's the main masahil regarding that particular hadith. So go to the hadith that comes next.
Narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. I heard Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying, my people will come on the day of resurrection with radiant faces, hands and feet from the traces of wudu, ablution. If any of you can extend his brightness, let him do so, agreed upon, and this is Muslim's word.
So this hadith of Abu Hurairah that he mentioned regarding that he heard the Prophet of Islam قال إن أمتي يأتوا يوم القيامة غرة المحجلين. So من أثر الوضوء. So this hadith, so from that part of the hadith, read the hadith again, that's the wording, my ummah will come on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and read the hadith.
My people will come on the...
He said ummah, my people, my nation will come on Yawm al-Qiyamah.
My people will come on the day of resurrection with radiant faces, hands and feet from the traces of wudu.
Hands and feet, that's in bracket?
No, that's just written there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing's in bracket.
Some is in bracket?
No.
Only just ablution in brackets, but nothing.
Okay. Continue.
Okay, my people will come on the day of resurrection with radiant faces, hands and feet.
You put radiant faces that is understood to that you should put hands and feet in bracket.
Yeah, okay.
You understand? It's been concerning Ghuratul Mahajireen as regarding concerning the radiant faces type of thing, but or limbs, but putting hands and feet. The hadith doesn't mention hands and feet, doesn't specify hands and feet per se as the wording of the hadith.
Yeah.
That's just trying to clarify thing, but we have to translate it.
Yeah.
Clarity about what you have to put it in brackets.
So in your version, it should just be faces, yeah?
And so it doesn't mention face, it doesn't mention Ghuratul Mahajireen.
Okay.
You understand? Because of that, some parts of the body that will come radiant or shining.
Yeah.
You understand? But it doesn't mention whether the face or whether the feet or the hands.
Yeah.
That comes with the understanding.
Yeah.
Okay, they mention min from.
From the trace of wudu.
Okay, so stop there. Then it mentions, so all that part from the trace of wudu. Put a mark right there. Then continue on.
If any of him can extend his brightness, let him do so.
So from the part that says that any of you or those who's able, one from an istata minkum, from those who are able, then he should try to extend his brightness. That part is not, that portion of the hadith, or what's mentioned here, that's the saying of Abu Hurairah.
The last part.
And the last concerning from the parts, that the one who's able, or the one who wishes to extend his brightness, then he should extend the limbs that are washed. That's from the statement of Abu Hurairah, not the statement of the Prophet ﷺ.
Okay.
So the hadith, what we have here, it have a portion of it is the Prophet ﷺ statement, but also a portion, the end, is actually the sayings of Abu Hurairah. That is called in hadith mudraj. In hadith science, they refer to this type of hadith or this type of when I find additional wording in the hadith or statement in the hadith as mudraj. Mudraj meaning that is a statement of one of the narrators who have included his statement as a part of the hadith. And the person who have included this is the statement of Abu Hurairah as a form of explanation by one of the narrators. That part is clear?
Yeah.
So, and also the hadith in the Bukhari Muslim, that in the narration of Bukhari mentioned, Inna ummati yud'una yawm al-qiyamah, that my nation will be called and yawm al-qiyamah. So says of the hadith part concerning man istata'a minkum, that the one who's able, that he should try to extend the bits that needs to be washed or to the shiny parts of his body. That part is statement of Abu Hurairah, not the statement of the Prophet as he understood and would practice as to be discussed. And most narration of the hadith that have the hadith here with other narration, it doesn't mention that part regarding the one who's able. It is not included in most narrations. Now it's left out. I was saying, so you find that of recent, I've found a book that is called Mudraj or whatever, I've got the name, but concerning Mudraj, and we'll first somewhat try to find all the ahadith or ahadith that are Mudraj that relates to fiqh related matters. In a sense of, I said, it's a part of ilm al-hadith, this particular science of the science, and one of the things that are discussed in the ilm of hadith regarding making that distinction regarding some hadith that may come to us or be presented. We may think everything in hadith is from the Prophet of Islam, but in fact that's not the case. Some of it may be from others, but it is taken by the normal reader to be that everything is from one source, to the Prophet of Islam, but that's not the case. So you find those types. So you find that if a person is very precise on these matters, then he may use things thinking that part of hadith, but actually it's not.
It's the importance of having a teacher.
And the person said the book that they have some who have authored the book, that they try to find all of the hadith of this type we call mudraj, but relate to fiqh related matters. As something I find a person who may be a faqih, but not very, not a specialist in hadith, may use these hadith to make ruling, but in fact it's not hadith. He's making ruling from statements that are not actually the statement of the Prophet of Islam. Now, as we'll discuss. So those who mention this part of the hadith is mudraj. For example, you have Al-Mundhiri who mentioned Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, also Ibn Qayyim, Shaykh Ibn Hajar, and others as Shaykh Albani, and many others, Shaykh Ibn Baz, all hold this to be mudraj, and that's well known. So you find, for example, to prove also, sometimes also to prove that something is mudraj, meaning something has been included in the hadith that is not from it. Also it requires for the person, one, to be able to can gather all those hadith, to be able to can discuss, to see what has been, some narration, to see what have been added to the hadith. So by having everything in front of you, we were able to can know, to gather all the narrations. You find narration of Ibn Mas'ud, of Jabir, Jabir, Ibn Abdullah, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, and others, Hudayfa, who have mentioned the same hadith, but none of them have this extra addition.
My question is, say if I just get a book now and I haven't got a teacher and I'm reading it and it's got certain issues like this, and how will I know?
You would know.
Yeah.
You would know. How would you know?
The point I was
You understand? Some of them.
Sorry, do none of the English translations have any kind of section in there, the commentary that will say Mudraj.
You might say it down here.
It's that sometimes you also that because Ibn Hajar rahimahullah himself didn't kind of somewhat like this in this book. You understand? Mention as a person be aware of this. Now, but he knows because these are the person also mentioned in other his book as Mudraj. You understand? But in some books, you would need a teacher to help you. In some, especially concerning ilm al-hadith, regarding hadith that are mentioned in books that said Kutub al-Ahkam al-Hadith, some of those books you may need a teacher. A person who was a teacher said the person understand ilm al-Hadith. Now, they said the fuqaha, we mentioned the fuqaha, the people extract ruling. If a person have under his belt or on his cap, ilm al-Hadith is strong in hadith and strong in fiqh, then that's the alim that you really want, like Bukhari and the likes. If a person does is good in fiqh but not good in hadith, sometimes he can miss these things. Sometimes he may miss these things.
No, I don't. This is just mentioned about the meaning of that. I think, more than anything.
So sometimes most might go into the meaning and find this a lot. Most might go into the meaning, but as for detecting certain of some hadith, some points of the hadith that maybe need to be highlighted, but it requires a person of ilm of hadith. I mentioned hadith before. The word udhnain, the ears being mentioned, is not really also from the hadith. That also in most narration is not there. You understand? But you need a person who understands the science. So I find that most of the books of hadith, or most books, I said now sometimes it's good for the person, these type of book, to have different explanation as different of the ulama who may have a different approach. Some may not per se go into the hadith related matter the hadith, in the hadith at hand, just want to give more the explanation of the aqwal of the ulama, but some will give you a combination of both. Now, so get to know, so the more explanation you have, then the more benefit you can reap.
We need to get this Arabic, right?
Then he mentioned from the hadith also, inna ummati, and he mentioned that's not my people. So I mean concerning ummah mean jama'. And the ulama mentioned concerning that's not ummah, when the Prophet mentioned or discussed concerning ummah, then it carries two meaning. And depending on which context. So ummah, when Islam mentioned concerning his ummah, he can say mention ummah to da'wah. So ummah to da'wah mean the ummah of da'wah concerning those ones that Islam was sent to call them to Islam and present to them Islam. So they are called ummah to da'wah. Ummah to da'wah include Muslim and Muslim alike. So everyone from Imam Islam up until Yawm al-Qiyamah is a part of ummah to da'wah. They are open for da'wah to be called to Islam, to be presented to them Islam, whether you accept or not. You have those people that should Islam, that you are from that ummah by that way. People that Islam is presented to them, so that they are ummah al-da'wah, people who are called and invited to Islam. Then you have ummah al-ijaba. Ummah al-ijaba is concerning ummah al-ijaba regarding that ummah of meaning those who responded to accepted Islam. So ummah al-ijaba are those who are the Muslims in particular. By they are the ones who are responded to his call. So they are the ones concerning those who believe in Imam and follow him. They are ummah al-ijaba. They are ummah al-ijaba. And these are the ones that are intended in this hadith. Because they are the ones who perform wudu. So the hadith will be because the ummah al-ijaba. So from the hadith meaning, it's understood that this ummah are those ones that responded, not just the ones who are being invited. Now, in some narration mention ya'tun, some mention yad'un, that some people will come, and some mention some people will be called. Now, and Yawm al-Qiyamah. So people will come forth and those will be called Yawm al-Qiyamah. So I also mentioned that other nation will be called Yawm al-Qiyamah. Will come forth or come forward and Yawm al-Qiyamah. But the Ummah of Islam, or Ummah al-Islam, they will stand out from others because of this particular mark that they will have on their bodies. From the traits of wudu. Now, so from the signs of wudu, that Yawm al-Qiyamah will kind of somewhat will make them glow. The parts that they used to wash will glow on Yawm al-Qiyamah. So they mention as for Yawm al-Qiyamah, of Yawm al-Qiyamah they have different stations. So Yawm al-Qiyamah, from time of death, then resurrection, you go through different stages. Different events will occur. Now, so of those stages concerning on Yawm al-Qiyamah, when will this ummah be presented? And that they will come forth and they will be somewhat distinguish themselves from other nations. At what stage and what the different at what stage Yawm al-Qiyamah? I mentioned that either concerning when the people come forth, al-Isab, the time concerning a reckoning, or al-Mawqif, when everyone will come from their graves, from every nation, from the first of man to the last of man, will come forth from their grave. But this ummah will come somewhat, they will come forth, they will be distinguished nation by the signs of the traits of their wudu. So you have the discussion regarding the benefit of general hadith. And Gurra is regarding that, he said no, a special sign that the people have, and Al-Gurra is a sign that is usually in your face. Muhajjalin is the sign on your hands and feet. So Gurra, that he mentioned, is that they have a special sign in their face. So the face will be shining. And Muhajjalin is a sign that shines, but it's mainly that is found on the feet and on the hands.
What's it called again, sir?
You have Gurra as in the hadith.
Yeah.
And Muhajjalin is a sign that is usually shows up on the face and, on the feet and the hands. So the Muslim will show, there's a Gurra, is a show regarding that their face will have a special feature, shiny look. And also Muhajjalin is related to also their hands and feet. And it shows concerning, so from the hadith, it shows the virtue of, they mention concerning, it shows of the virtue of wudu and the benefit of wudu that will cause those people Yawm al-Qiyamah from this ummah to stand out and to be recognized compared to other nations. That I mentioned from this time, the one who's able from you, which is the same to Abu Hurairah, is more so that he took this position of kind of somewhat extending the ears to be washed because he wanted that sign to be more on the hands and his body. He wants to cover more parts of his body with those signs and Yawm al-Qiyamah. So that's why he extended it beyond the normal area to be washed. After matter to discuss from this hadith is performing wudu, something that is of the khasa'is, of something which is specific to this nation of Muhammad Islam. So after matter that is discussed from the hadith is performing wudu, something particular to this nation of Muhammad Islam, or it was something done by previous nation, meaning concerning the people of Musa Islam used to perform wudu as we did it. With me? So from this hadith, some of the ulama hold that wudu is something that is of it special to only this nation, but not something done by other nations. Some of the ulama take the view that performing of wudu as we do it, washing of those limbs, it is something which is specific to this nation, not something known and done by previous nations. That's one view. A second view is that wudu, it is not something which is particular only to this nation, but also something done by previous nations. Now, and that view, the correct view. And of the hadith I proved concerning the hadith of Jurayj. Who did the hadith of Jurayj? Who did the hadith of Jurayj? Of the Raib. Jurayj.
I think I remember, but I can't.
So Jurayj was of those ones that hadith of Jurayj was like a person was a Raib, a monk. We use the word a monk, a person of ibadah, a Raib. So a person to be involved in worship of a small little area that he used to use for worship. And Jurayj, his mother called him. And he was making what? Salat.
Yeah.
So he was thinking, should I respond to my call or not? Or carry on? Now, remember the hadith?
Yeah, I remember the hadith. Yeah.
So the hadith at the end, so the hadith of Jurayj, so the hadith of Jurayj mentioned that no, he was a person who was known for ibadah. Then he was in salat one day and his mom called him and he didn't respond. He was thinking, should I respond to my mom or should I continue with my salat? Now, and it was a voluntary salat. So he decided to continue on. And someone eventually, it occurred a few times where she cursed him. And she made a dua against him, not a curse, but make a dua against him. That he should see the face of like a prostitute.
Yeah.
Not to be with her, just to see her face.
Yeah.
So he showed that his level of piety was beyond us today. Just to see a prostitute. So he was up, he was far away from those type of things. Looking at things of evil, he was, distance himself from all those things. So eventually it occurred that a woman, she was a prostitute type of thing, or a woman was she went with a shepherd guy that she saw that she presented herself to a refuser, or she presented herself to a shepherd and went with her and she got pregnant. So the people asked her, who got you pregnant in the village? Who's the father of your child? So she mentioned, pointed at Juraj. So someone gathered Juraj, but they said, we know him for goodness, but they called him up to question about the act. So it shows concern that even those things from of old, people used to, that's a tabut, that used to somewhat investigate those matters. And even then, it was so that, having children out of wedlock was even from old, something that they didn't approve of and was against. So they called Juraj, asked him what happened, he denied, then he said, okay, but the child is here. Then Juraj himself also, he went, and the Shahid from the mention, when they called him, he mentioned that Juraj said, فَتَوَضَّى وَصَلَّى. He prayed, made wudu, so he said, okay, you're accusing of this matter, I'm going to prove my innocence. So he said, okay, first, let me go and pray, but first he performed wudu, so he showed that wudu was done then, that's the Shahid. That hadith of Juraj, he mentioned, I'll make wudu, then I'll pray. Then I'll tell you who did that. And what he did, the baby, he touched him and tell him, who's your father? And then the baby pointed at who's his father, mentioned that person, my father. He spoke. So the baby then spoke and mentioned who his father was. So he showed that type of level of reliance, tawakkul that Juraj upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would aid him. Made wudu, prayed, then went to the child and said, touched him, who's your father? And the boy told the baby, spoke. And I mentioned of 4 individuals spoke while in infancy. In this case, Juraj's story was one of them. Ala kulli hal, that the story of Juraj was after evidence to prove that concern that the nation before they made wudu and even prayed. So it proved that they made wudu and prayed. Siyam is already established in the Quran that people before used to fast. Also, Hajj, from what is established also from before that people before used to perform Hajj. So the pillars of Islam now is something which is nation before shared with us in those things. But how they do maybe be different. But they did it as an act, but maybe because Musa Islam, his nation used to pray all the time. 50 times. You understand? So they used to do it. But ours maybe in the performance a bit different in something, but they would pray as we pray. But they generally prayed. And also fast and do all the arkan of Islam as we have it today. So the general shahid that the nation before also shared with us regarding wudu. So it is not something which is particular to us as claimed by some of the ulama. But ulama mentioned that from the hadith, what it really shows though, from the hadith, that regarding that the nation of Muhammad Islam, we will stand out from other nations by, without the parts of wudu, our wudu areas, that they will shine and glow on Yawm al-Qiyamah. But for other nations, they won't have that. Nah? But for us, those areas will glow our face and our hands and feet, the part that we wash, that on Yawm al-Qiyamah, they will glow. Compared to other nation, it will not.
Is this when they're waiting for the resurrection? I mean, when they're waiting for the Hisab?
So you have a different regarding at what point is when everyone, the waiting period, al-mawqif, or for Hisab, it varies, but a point in Yawm al-Qiyamah, it will be there. And be the distinguishing feature between us and other nations. So the next matter of the hadith, the main part of the hadith regarding concerning what's the ruling regarding the person exceeding the areas that is a must to be washed. For example, the hands above the, we call this, the elbow, and the feet above, going how far above the ankle. Yeah. Now, so exceeding those areas. So from this matter, some of the ulama, they hold that this, la tushra, it is not permissible for a person to exceed the area that are the compulsory areas to be washed. So to the elbow, then that's it. So include the elbow, but not go above it. Just include it, and that's it. Now, so all a person that stick to the area to be washed, and that's it, without exceeding. That's the matter of the Maliki and the Zahiriyah, that a person just stick to the areas to be washed and not exceed it. And some of the Ahnaf also of that view. And a narration of Imam Ahmed. That's a view that is taken also by Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn Qayyim, and also Ibn Uthaymeen, and others. But their view is the person should not exceed the compulsory area to be washed. Not go beyond this. Then the second view is that it's allowed for a person to exceed the area, the compulsory area to be washed. So they all concerning, for example, up to the elbow, you can exceed this. But between themselves, the second view, they differ regarding how much you can exceed. To how much you can exceed that area. And that view, the view that is taken by the Shafi'iyya and also some of the Ahnaf, that a person, and also some of the Hanabila, and of the Hanabila, that a person is allowed to exceed, it's allowed, permissible for a person to exceed the compulsory area regarding for the elbows, you can exceed this, but they disagree between themselves as to how much can one exceed. That's clear?
Yeah.
So now, rahimahullah, he mentioned regarding now those who hold that one can exceed the compulsory area. We said the compulsory area right above the elbow. How much can you exceed on this? Or for those who say up to the calf, how much you can exceed amongst this, the ankle bone? They now disagree. So he mentioned اختلفوا في قدر المستحب. They disagree regarding to what extent is preferable for a person to exceed. Some mentions, so you have a disagreement regarding this matter. Some people, for example, we can go up to his armpit. Some all up to halfway. Now, so between themselves, they disagree regarding to what extent. But some will go to the worst, will be up to the arm, up to there.
The whole arm.
Yeah. So that's, you understand? So that's, and some may all halfway. So they then between themselves a disagreement. And also for example, for the ankle, some go there up to, you can go halfway up to his
Calf.
calf.
Yeah.
You understand?
To the calf, yeah.
Yeah, to the calf, you say. So that's between them.
What's the correct on that?
And where do they get that evidence?
And we come to that. So but let's discuss in a general view.
Yeah.
So their view regarding concerns, those of that view, they use hadith. Those of that view, because I mentioned that Yawm al-Qiyamah will come shiny. So the person who, so Abu Hurairah and amongst them from the Sahaba who understand that, based upon this hadith, then you can exceed so that on Yawm al-Qiyamah you exceed the part that will be shiny and glow on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Now, so he took this hadith and applied it by extending those areas.
So in the Arabic it says you can extend his brightness, yeah? In the Arabic it says you can extend the brightness. And here, in this 14 note about Abu Hurairah, I heard the last Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam say the people...
Hey, it's brightness, hey.
But it says extend, yeah, and yours as well.
And you
So that's where they took it from.
He said from the part of the hadith, concerning that person concerning that,
The
Or
way
is that bit the thing?
إذا وين أن يطيل غرة.
now from generality that he took from the generality that the hadith given permissibility that so in the given the hadith it mentioned that the person by the parts of wudu would all glow.
Yeah.
So he all concerned to know that for wudu even include
This is the
extra.
Yeah.
So because that's still a part for him of part of doing act of wudu. So all that it will be glowing.
Yeah.
You understand? So rather than that's restricted to just the elbow, go straight up to the arm.
Yeah, I think that bit I was talking about is Madhya genuine.
That part of that's his understanding.
Yeah.
That's a matter part, but that's his understanding. He wants to exceed the shining parts of his body and the glowing parts, so he can somewhat went beyond what is compulsory as to what is the ear to be washed. He went beyond this.
Just made whistle every time. If that's what I love it.
So is that what Abu Hurairah meant to go up to?
Yeah, Abu Hurairah and also Ibn Umar. So you have other companions who had that understanding.
Yeah.
So it's not just him.
One of
You understand? So it says no, first go back to the hadith, so it says no, of someone who can somewhat take that view of those ones who can somewhat of that view. We said we're under what? The second view, huh?
Yeah, a person can exceed, but
Yeah, so they use hadith generally kind of somewhat to see it's not kind of somewhat because they want to exceed the brightness, so they kind of somewhat went beyond the part that is compulsory to be washed. That's the understanding they took. So we mentioned Abu Hurairah, also the companions, and also Ibn Umar, also of that way and practice. So remember, some ulama says that because it was done by a Sahabi, all that now it shows a permissibility. Now, then the second view says no, the hadith, the other one can somewhat reject that concerns no, that's the ijtihad of a Sahabi. And the text that concerns the Prophet of Islam, what is known that he never exceed those places and went to that extent. There's no hadith that in Islam authentic that he would just stick to the elbow and to the ankle and not go beyond this. Not up there, not halfway, nor to the full extent. So and that is what he would do all the time. So the Prophet Islam, his and also the ayah that we mentioned concerning regarding wudu, ila marafiq, then it can somewhat give us to what extent we should wash. So we should stick to it. As the Prophet Islam, he explained this by his action and didn't go beyond this. So in this case, that Ijtihad of Abu Hurairah, you understand, most companions didn't do it. So precedent is given to the Prophet Islam and what was done by most companions, and that will consider the ijtihad from him. That and also so they mentioned no, for example, the person. So that's of the evidence that they kind of somewhat use and others, but the first view is the correct one. The person should not extend, but stick to the compulsory area. What's the extent? The person go including the elbow. So the elbow is right, is included, and the ankle also included. So that's concerning that particular masala.
So the companion that did go beyond that, is that
There's a few of them.
Is there a reward for that still?
And no work, there's no dalil, and we said that that's the ijtihad. That's how they understood the text because they wanted to increase
the price.
in that portion or that part of the body to be lighted or to be to glow Yawm al-Qiyamah according to how they thought or how they understood. That's their understanding, their own personal understanding.
So would that be considered Khalifa Sunnah because that's the ijtihad?
That's considered to be of the ijtihad of those Sahabi. As the majority didn't apply that. And most of the hadith of the Prophet of Islam also does not give that meaning. No, it's just the hadith of the Prophet of Islam is to highlight concerning that, if anything, ensure that you wash those areas properly. Make sure everything is washed properly regarding the areas to be washed. But as for going way beyond, you understand, Islam never did this. And if it was, he would have done it. If it was something that to be done, he would have done it also to gain more, you understand, more reward or to make that point out. But he restricted it to that area, so we stick to that inshallah ta'ala. Adhan? Right, تفضل.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu.
Anyways, that's just the time on the timetable, you know.
طيب بسم الله. So that's concerned that we did next hadith.
41 now.
Aye.
Should we go to the next one then?
The next hadith.
Okay.
Go finish most of the masail of that hadith.
Narrated Aisha radiallahu anha, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam loved to begin with the right while putting on his shoes, combing his hair in his purification and in all his affairs. Agreed upon.
Yes, this is the hadith that is in the Bukhari and Muslim is regarding concerning that of those things that relate to the wudu, even though the hadith here mentioned tuhur, that will include also wudu, that in Islam that he preferred to start with a right regarding the things that he would do concerning these acts, concerning that put on his clothing, put on his shoe, also regarding at-tuhur and all these affairs. So even the hadith in general that anything that he did, that in Islam will always start with his right. Now, and that will also include things concerning al-wudu. I'm going to discuss in particular. But in a part that he mentioned, fi sha'nihi kulli, that in all his affairs. But even mentioned that he will always start with his right in all affairs. Now, that is not to be taken in everything, because when he enters, for example, the washroom, he will start with his left. So the hadith is to be taken in context regarding that those things that he did with his right, start with his right, we do with his right. And the thing that he started with his left, then we'll do them with our left. Now, but another one I can mention things that as a general guide, things that we said that are pleasant and good, then you normally start with the right. So for example, eating and the likes, putting on clothing, making wudu, making ghusl and the likes, that he would normally put on his clothing, he would normally start with his right side. So things that are somewhat seem positive and good, then those things that are done with the right. And some things that are negative, that are maybe seen as negative, then it is done with the left. And some of those things also, sometimes on the list we mentioned, for example, the miswak, use of the miswak. Is it to be done with the right or the left hand? The use of the miswak, the right or the left hand? Because it all depends on how you view it. Is it something you see, for example, that the miswak is being doing something good or something, but I said, not that pleasant? Okay, clean your teeth, isn't it? But a good way, somewhat you're trying to, as a form of tuhur, you're somewhat making yourself, presenting yourself in a good way. Now, so is it to be placed as in the bab of tuhur, trying to purify yourself, or it's the same bab of those things of removing something which is of unpleasant? So you have two different views. Now, Ibn Rahimullah, whichever way you do it is labas. Whichever way is labas. But some give precedent that it should be done with the right, and some say no with the left, depending on how you present and look at the case. But with the hadith generally mentioned, the person should start most of these things with his right and give precedent to the use of the right. Regarding wearing off one shoe, putting on one shoe, also putting on one's clothing, as mentioned hadith, and also tuhur by way of wudu or ghusl. By way of tuhur, by way of ghusl, or by way of ghusl.
Is that washing the right side of the ghusl? You wash the right side of the body?
The right side first, then the left. Now, so that's concerning tayammum. Tayammum is regarding you starting the right side first. So they mentioned now, rahimullah, أجمع العلماء على تقديم اليمين على اليسار في يدين والرجلين في وضوء السنة. So he mentioned that generally in the ulama, they have a precedent. Ulama is an agreement that it is the person should give precedence, the person should start first with his right side of the body and come over the left side of the body regarding in wudu the hands and the feet. As in the face, that's not the case. In the face, that's not the case. The person washes his face, but the right is started first with more concerning washing of the hands and the feet. Regarding al-wudu, as considered to be of the sunan act of wudu. Is that the sunan mustahab acts of wudu, not something which is compulsory, not something which is compulsory. So I mentioned so that's concerning that particular hadith. It generally does give us an idea regarding that the use of the right regarding, including concerning al-wudu. So the person starts with those areas concerning the right side, left side, to start with the right side first and then go to left. Was that is something of the sunnah act of wudu or mustahab. If the person was to start, did the left, then his wudu is still intact, but he has gone khilaf sunnah. If he doesn't, but he doesn't need to repeat his wudu from the start, but just continue through, and his wudu is still considered to be valid.
Sorry, with the ghusl, and you say start with the right, yeah, it's preferred. Is it like, for example, right arm, left arm, or the whole of my right side of the body, and then the whole of my left side of the body?
That's why when we perform in ghusl, then say you have ghusl, you have wudu, it is composite two, washing, doing first wudu, so you do wudu in a normal way. Now, then washing the entire rest of the body. Now, the person does his right side first. So the person wouldn't wash his hands to the right side. So, I don't want to be discussed. So the right side will be done before the left side. So the person wash from the top right down to the bottom first, right, then top, left, down, that way. Now, so that inshallah ta'ala, that's the hadith.
The next hadith was the same meaning, I think.
It was the same meaning, so we can cancel that next week.
Yeah.
A few more مسائل that relates to it. طيب استغفر الله واتوب اليك. الحمد لله everything.
Okay, it's time to let